At what age is it okay to move out the house? I don't know. Stay tuned for Don't Be Tardy.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Don't Be Tardy for the Party, Free Ballin. Now, I have no idea what free ballin is, but we're going to get into it in a second. As you can see, our other co-hosts aren't here. You just have me. We wanted to make sure that we're streaming because we love our fans so much. So hopefully we have a good time today. Obviously we will. Episode 2 is Free Ballin. I'm your host, Elayna. You can follow me on Twitter at HeyIt'sLay. I just want to dive right in because it was so exciting because I was literally on my toes thinking that the title for this episode meant that one of the kids was going to be running through the house without their clothes on, or, you know, one of the wankies were going to be swinging. I don't know. They totally had me just whipped and doozled for that. Episode 2 was actually all about Brielle and Kroy. So let's get into that just a little bit. What does it actually mean to be freeballing? I think it went into a point where, you know, we now know that Kroy is up for free agency. Obviously in the showtime and not real time. I have to make sure that I clarify that. So during episode 2, he was up for free agency and the conversation came about on whether it was time for them to move or what would happen with the kids and meeting with like his agent and all kinds of things. So what happens when you have a family of 6 and you get dropped from a team or you're no longer with the team and it's time for you to start shopping around for other cities and other states? It becomes really hard. But I think that one of the things that was revealed to me in this episode, just for Kroy alone, his demeanor and his personality is just so calm. You can tell that he is the person who keeps Kim centered and keeps the family centered. And you can tell that a lot of the kids have his temperament. So, you know, in the show, he was talking about how he had this intuitive feeling and he was feeling like he might have to move. And even while talking about it, like Kim was losing her mind. She was confused. She didn't know what to do. But he was still like, you know, babe, it's okay. We'll work it out. It'll be fine. Kim, on the other hand, she was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to move all of my children because if Kroy was to leave, obviously Kim and the kids would go with him. So she was like, I would have to move everything in the house. I would have to move all of the kids, switch schools. It becomes a lot. And I just wouldn't know what to do with that kind of responsibility. One of the funniest things that happened this episode with them talking about his free agency in the move is Kim said that if they were going to move, she would have to move all of their furniture because she doesn't want to sleep on no one's bed. She doesn't want to sit on no one's couch and share the same toilet, not even with her chef, Tracy. Now, Tracy has been a part of the family for a long time, if you guys have followed all of the seasons and the episodes. So you would think that she would possibly use the same bathroom as Tracy, but she was like, no, not even with Tracy, which made me wonder, okay, Kim, so when you go to hotels with Kroy, then what happens? Do you like move in your own bed and toilet? Obviously, she admitted to being a diva, and I know that some of us secretly are because things that are shared, public stalls, anything, are absolutely disgusting. So Kim, I'm here with you, but it was a little bit extreme. Obviously, if you're moving to a whole different state or city, you want to bring in just your own personal furniture and things like that. I also want to touch on just when it came down to the move, although Kim was losing her mind and Kroy was going kind of crazy, they still know how to have fun with each other. And this episode was absolutely about no one else but Brielle and maybe a little bit of Ariana. So we got this Kroy and the free agency thing, but we didn't focus on that no longer than about 5 minutes in the beginning of the episode. So I love that the producers were able to edit in a point that showed Kim and Kroy just having fun with each other and enjoying the relationship. And I think that that's important, especially for the show, because a lot of fans can kind of get confused. You know, with so many different personalities in one house, all of the 6 children, plus Kim and Kroy, plus Tracy, plus the assistants and everyone else who comes in, it can kind of get lost in translation. And you're almost like, okay, well, how do they keep up the romance? How do they keep having these babies? So when they were in the car and they were playing like this stop and go kind of Snapchat game, I love that element. And I love that the producers still incorporated the love and incorporated the family of it all. So let's move on to what this episode was really about. Brielle, who at the time of filming, she was 18, she is now 19, and last week we predicted that today, or this episode, we would get some kind of understanding of what was going on with Brielle. Was she going to move to LA? Were they going to keep her in the house? It definitely was the point of conversation for this episode, as Kroy is obviously the one who disciplines her the most. So if you guys are just catching up, Brielle is now Kim's assistant, which Kim desperately regrets. She had like a reality check moment with herself where she was just like, you know, I didn't make her work for her whole life, so why do I expect her to have it all together now? And I was happy that she had that realization, because if you guys are constantly watching the show, you know that Kim kind of babies Brielle. Like, it was always her and Brielle. They're like best friends, which is why the dynamic of their relationship is so kind of interestingly different from other traditional families. So, you know, they have that very best friend kind of relationship. So Kim always has babied Brielle. So for Brielle to be her assistant, we know that Brielle's getting away with a lot, whether it's not returning her mom's calls, not doing the errands on time, just not doing what she needs to do. Apparently, we got a sneak peek of her in the kitchen having kitchen conversations with Chef Tracy. And yeah, she's just always goofing around. So we kind of got to see what she's doing, for everyone who was wondering, why is she still home? Why isn't she out the house? And I have to say, I almost understand why Brielle wouldn't want to leave. She has a big family. Like, her youngest siblings are two, which is the twins, Kaya and Kane. And, you know, she has her mom, she has her sister, like, she just has everybody there. And she's grown up in Atlanta, basically. So she has all of her friends there. I almost wouldn't want to move either. If I have everything, if my mom is paying my car, my rent, my medical bills, like, if my mom is paying for everything, my mom and my stepdad, if they're paying for everything, then what do I need to go work for? Like, you know, they're not putting her in a position where it's like, Brielle, you have to make a decision, you have to work, you have to support yourself and be the adult. So it becomes a little torn. And I can say, just watching and learning how protective Kim is of Brielle, and almost like, you know, she wants to push her off and let her fly on her own, but then she wants to hold her and cuddle her and, like, you know, no, babe, you don't have to go. I'll take care of you. So that becomes a little bit tricky. Obviously, if we were in Brielle's shoes, we wouldn't want to leave. We would want to be rent-free. But as a mother, and even for Kroy, I understand. And even while Kroy is trying to discipline Brielle, he's like, okay, what are you going to do? When are you going to do it? You can tell he takes more of the dominant role, which kind of makes him the bad guy. So they have like this bad cop, good cop, Kim and Kroy, when it comes to Brielle. But that, I feel like that will be worked out. I feel like as she, you know, goes through the motions a little bit more, she's going to get to a point where she's fed up of them asking questions, of them always in her business, and she's going to want to branch out and be on her own. Last season, you know, she wanted to run off and get emancipated and live on her own. So I don't know what the holdup is now. Brielle, let us know what's happening. Are you still at home? Will you be leaving? We don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. Another interesting character that popped up in this episode was Ariana. So she's the 14-year-old. You know, it was just Kim, Brielle, and her for a while. And she always had like Brielle and Kim to look up to. So to watch her speak more and have more of a character and be more of her own person, I think that made me, it was almost like I was like a proud big sister in a sense. Like, during this episode, she embodied her own person. She wasn't trying to be Brielle. She wasn't trying to be her mom. She wasn't trying to be anybody else except for who she was. So even when Brielle went into her room to try to give her the big sister talk and was like, hey, if Kroy moves with the free agency to go to another team, would you want to move? And she was like, no, I have my friends. I don't want to move. And Brielle gave her the most horrible of advice. She was like, well, if we move, you can kind of go be a whore and do whatever you want. But if we stay, you kind of have to be the good girl. And I was like, Brielle, is that really what you want to be telling your 14-year-old sister? To my surprise, it did not trigger Ariana at all. She was more so like, no, I don't want to be a whore. So kudos to you, Ariana, for being a little more mature than your elder sister. Even when it came down to them having a talk about Brielle moving out the house, she was like, Brielle, why are you still here? Why won't you leave? Why are you still in mom's house? And Brielle was like, you know, rent free. And she was just like, no, if it came down to me, I would leave. And I absolutely get that. At 18, I was literally running out of the house, and my grandmother raised me. So she was like really frantic and crying, I was like, no, I gotta go. So it's interesting that I could relate more to the 14-year-old in the home opposed to the 18, 19-year-old. It's just like, where are we? And even all the other characters in the house can kind of realize it. When we got to see the interview between KJ and Cash, the producers was asking them, do you think that your sister can count while she was ordering the food? And they were like, no, she can't count. Like, she doesn't know much. So for your toddler little brothers to say that you're almost a little airheaded, that says a lot about, just what Brielle's priorities are. Even when she was called out about not qualifying being a big word or layman being a big word, she hasn't heard those words before. So we can kind of understand why she doesn't want to leave. She's babied, she's spoiled. This is what she knows. I wouldn't want to leave if I were Brielle. So let's get into more of her being Kim's assistant. If I was my mom's assistant, it'd almost be like me working for free. My mom would be paying me, I would be acting like I'm working, but I won't really be working. And it's almost like that's what Brielle's doing as well. So even with Ryan, who is Kim's virtual assistant, who lives in Colorado, who she's never met before, I mean, a red flag went up for me. I don't know about you guys, but I was sitting at the screen and I was just like, you've never met him? And you tell him all of your business? I'm just confused. Obviously, they have had some kind of phone interview, and I'm hoping some kind of Skype interview where she at least seen him before. Maybe that phrase just meant she hasn't physically met him in person, but they've had some kind of cahoots. I think even then, though, if I hadn't met him in person, but we had Skype interviews or phone interviews, I would still be like, I don't know, I'm an energy person, so I need to fill you out. And Kim always says that she's an energy person, so I'm surprised that she didn't really want to fill him out in person and that he is her virtual assistant at least. So what's going to happen with Brielle on the next episode? Are they going to have to move? Is she going to be forced to get her own place? We don't know. We also don't know if Ariana is going to have to be moved away from her friends, and we know that that was a big talking point, at least during this episode, where she just started making friends. She's in the 8th grade. That's the grade before, high school, at least here. And I wouldn't want to leave either. She doesn't want to leave her friends. So it's almost like Kim and Kroy are stuck between a rock and a hard place with the kids in school, having to move. It's just a lot of chaos going on, not to mention the 6 different personalities. I'm definitely excited to see what's going to happen next. And I want to kind of move into a little bit news and gossip while we're talking about what's going to happen next. This past week, Kim... Oh, come on with the news. This past week, Kim and Brielle was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy, where Brielle showed off her new look, and obviously it was a dress, and we talked about it last episode. But this time, Kim actually confirmed that she will not be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. To clear that story up, she went on record to say that Nene Leakes reached out to her and said, hey girl, will you be doing the Housewives? Kim said no, and then 2 hours later, the story broke that Kim would actually be doing the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So Kim was looking at her phone like, I don't get it. I just told you no. Why would you say that I'm doing it? So obviously that was a bunch of confusion, a little gossip, a little he say, she say, and speculation. So just to clear that up, at least here for our fans, Kim will not be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And we speculated that Brielle got a little bit more done than her lips. So she admitted to getting her boobs done. Kim did admit to bringing her to LA to get her lips done, because she said that once she found out, she wanted to bring her to the best. And we still don't know which team Kroy is going to play for, if he's even got picked up for a team yet. So that's what's happening with the news and gossip surrounding the show. I want to get into a little bit of her product line, Cashmere. So a lot of people just received some of those products, and they are actually reporting very spectacular reviews. They're talking about how great it smells, the tanning oils at least. They're talking about how great it smells. They're talking about how smooth it is for their skin. So I'm definitely excited to at least purchase some or get some samples so that we can try it here on the show and give our own live personal reviews for you. Moving on, let me give you guys some predictions for what's gonna happen next episode. Are we gonna get the prediction music?
Your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
There we go. Next episode, I feel like, I know I said this last episode too, but I really want Kim to bring up her family, especially because they're moving and, you know, she's still trying to have a baby and things like that. I just want her, I feel like she will bring up her mom or her dad in some sense. And I think that we finally will see kind of a foot being placed down on Brielle, especially since Kim is kind of fed up with her. She had a reality check. She knows that Brielle isn't ready to work. She knows that she's babied Brielle. So I am predicting that next episode, they're kind of going to put their foot down a little more stern than they tried to do last season and tell Brielle, hey, you know, you're almost 19 or you're 19. It's time for you to make a decision. What are you going to do? We aren't going to baby you. We need you to, you know, fly like a bird. So my prediction is that in one way or another, Brielle's going to get the foot pressed down on her, and the family is going to be reintroduced to the show and to us fans. So I'm definitely excited to tune in next week, and I'm even more excited because the rest of our hosts, Suzette and Candace, will be back next week, and we'll have a full house. So if you enjoyed this episode, please comment, use the hashtag on Twitter, Don't Be Tardy, ABTV, and let me know how much you enjoyed it. Until next time, guys, I'll see you. Again, I'm Elayna, and you can follow me on Twitter at Hey It's Lay. Bye!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.